Kamala Harris's economic plan is taking shape, starting with $5 trillion in new taxes, because Washington clearly does not have enough money to spend. In the past fortnight alone, Kamala has promised to hike tax on small businesses to 39.6% and hike capital gains and dividends to a top rate of 44.6%, which would be the highest in history, even beating the communist-adjacent Jimmy Carter. Since taxing half your life savings doesn't come close to keeping Washington fed, she also wants to hike the corporate rate by a third to 28%. That would reverse Trump's cut. It would take us from one of the best places in the world to do business to one of the worst. We would actually be worse than China, Canada, Britain, Russia, even the European Union. A company would literally make money moving to Canada, and for so-called strategic sectors, our tax rate would be double the rate in China. Note that workers actually pay corporate income tax. A tax foundation study found they pay around 70% in the form of lower wages. The rest is paid by shareholders in lower retirement returns and customers in higher prices. Yes, the same high prices Kamala is currently blaming on price gouging. The fun doesn't stop there. She's also calling for a second death tax, something called step-up basis, that would treat death as a taxable event. So not only would the family business reform have to pay estate taxes when it's passed on, it would be taxed as if all the assets were sold, with up to 44.6% of that going to the government on top of the death tax. Finally, the big one. Kamala's handlers are pushing for something we've never taxed in this country: unrealized gains. As any bureaucrat pretends you sold all your stock every year and the family farm and sends you a gigantic bill. Like all new taxes, this one is being sold as only hitting the rich, but in reality, it will hit family businesses and farms. Moreover, I mentioned in a recent video how the income tax itself started out only hitting the top 1% at a top rate of 7%, and here we are today with more tax returns than people and a top rate of, if Kamala gets her way, 44.6%. Incidentally, Americans overwhelmingly oppose taxes on unrealized gains by a factor of 3 to 1. 76% of independents oppose it. It's also worth noting that Europeans have tried this kind of wealth tax over and over, and every time it has failed spectacularly. The actual rich just move their money and hire better tax lawyers, while small businesses get wiped out. So Norway, for example, expected to collect $150 million per year from their wealth tax, but instead $54 billion fled the country, taking $600 million of taxes with them. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained.com. Barely a month into Kamala, she is already far to the left of even Joe Biden. And keep in mind, this is before the election, when they're trying not to sound crazy. We can only imagine what's coming after the election. Like drinking radiator coolant, government spending, alas, always tastes sweet in the beginning. The stimulus checks, the $1 trillion for green energy, this week's war, they're all painless blips on a debt chart until comes the payback. First the inflation, then the taxes that amount to wholesale confiscation of your retirement, the financial future for the young, all while gutting what's left of our productive economy. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.